Welcome to the English with Kirsty podcast from www.englishwithkirsty.com. Here I'll be sharing with you tips, information and other learning resources so that you can improve your business English.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the English with Kirsty podcast. And today I have two guests here, and we're going to talk about something that's really important to me and probably something you've heard me talking about a lot, and that's conversation and communicating with others, because many of us have other languages in our lives. We want to learn them. Some of us use them professionally. But it's kind of sad if you only learn a language and never speak to anyone and never get to know anyone, because doing that means you don't really understand much about the culture if it's all just kind of theoretical knowledge. So I've always thought that it's really important to communicate, and that's why I have some conversation groups, the general one, the cafe for practicing general English, and then I have my groups for freelancers, the clubs. But I wanted to speak with other people who are doing the same thing in different languages. And that's why I have two here today, two people with some very different groups, different activities. But the main point is helping others to learn more about their language and culture. And so we're going to find out a bit more about that today. So Carla, maybe we'll start with you. Can you tell us something about who you are and how you help others to understand more about Italian, the language and the culture as well?
Right. Thank you very much, Kirsty. So firstly, I just want to say, it's great to be here on your podcast. And I've really enjoyed listening to English with Kirsty for
thank you.
a couple of years now, I think. And I really admire how you've built such a rich resource over the years, helping people not just to improve their English, but really, discover their voice in it. And I think you've created such a supportive space, and that's why I decided, yes, it's great to be part of it. So I'm really honoured. Thank you. So I'm Carla Morra. I'm an Italian tutor, and I mainly work as a language tutor for adult learners of Italian. I also co-author Italian textbooks, and I work on educational resources as well. I write them and proofread them, and I also work as an English to Italian translator. And that's why you found me on LinkedIn, I believe, Kirsty, the first time. So we have quite a few contacts in common now. So I believe we're here mainly for my online Italian reading group. And I quite like the idea of the reading group. I set it up because reading has always been central to what I do. I've always enjoyed it myself. Quite early on, I became interested in how language works, sort of beneath the surface. So things like the prosody and the nuance and the tone, and of course the cultural context as well. So I thought, why not? Let's make this into an online Italian reading club for those adult learners who sort of reach a plateau at some point and don't really know how to push, beyond that level. And I thought this would be a good way to actually stimulate them and get them to learn a lot more about the culture as well.
And also, so this is online. So are the people who participate in the group, are they across Europe? Are there many in Italy, or can people join? Do people join
Right.
from
I have none from Italy now. At the moment,
Okay.
it's just from the UK, and I do have a guest from Poland as well, which is lovely. One of my participants is from Poland. So yeah, at the moment, just UK and Poland, but it could be from anywhere in the world, really. It's all about, the time when it happens, if it suits you, depending on where you live in the world, and if it suits your business, of course, and if it suits your way of learning, because that's I would say it's not for everyone. You say it's not everyone likes reading, not everyone likes getting into the depths of, literature in the way you do when you read a book aloud and when you practice pronunciation, for example, and again that prosody, that rhythm, that pace, and later on when you discuss the topics. So it's not really for everyone. You have to be have to be passionate about literature in the first place in your own language, I believe, in order to really want to join something like this, like an online reading group in a different language. So yeah.
Yeah, you have to find your people. Like not everything we create is for everyone, but it's about finding the people that relate to it and want to be there. And that's sometimes some of the best groups have a very distinct purpose, and then you know whether it's for you or not. It's like
yes, absolutely.
it's not generic.
It's like finding your tribe, isn't it?
Finding the people that like you, that like what you do. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks for that.
absolutely.
Margarida, tell me something about your group then. It's in Lisbon, isn't it? Like about
hello,
you and your group.
hello, Christy. Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm very proud to be here with you and Carla, and congratulations on the initiative to have your podcast. About your work, very important, and this work in developing and promoting the knowledge of the language. This is very, very important, and to facilitate the communication as well. So thank you very much for the invitation. So I held sessions and meetings with people who want to develop their Portuguese language and cultural skills. Normally people learn Portuguese, but they don't have a native to speak Portuguese, so that they can know better the language, curiosities, and some tricks about the language as well. I've always been a passionate for culture and the Portuguese culture especially, and the language. So this was an opportunity to be with people that want to learn Portuguese. They are living in Portugal, or can be also online, and they can easily also integrate in the language and in the culture of Portugal. So this is also a matter sometimes of integration, and a way that something that I really enjoy to do is to participate and to promote these meetings with these people.
And how do you find when the people come for the first time? Are they all people that like talking? Are there some people who are a bit shy? Do you have both?
I think I have both. In beginning, people are a little bit shy, but then these meetings are normally very informal, and I like very much that people feel very comfortable. And sometimes people, they don't say the right word or something like this, and they say, I'm sorry, oh, don't have to apologize. This is a meeting, this is a conversation, and people slowly, they just get comfortable about the conversation. And they also are very, very curious to know about the Portuguese culture, which I love to talk about and to explain and to say and to answer about questions that they have about the culture, about the language. So this is both a group of conversation, but with also these components about language, of course, and also culture. And I also challenge people to write a text about a subject that I choose, or they choose, or they can choose in the session, and then we just meet with this work, with this challenge, and they also read, because normally people don't read, or they don't have the opportunity to speak Portuguese.
Okay, so they write in the session, or they write something for the next session, so they write in their own time?
They can send this by email, or they can present it and read it in the session.
Okay, so you're practicing all the
short text, just a short text, just to so that they can have the opportunity to also to write.
Mm-hmm. And to get some feedback on their writing,
and to have and yes, and then of course, and then I have to do, and also give the feedback. Yes.
Yeah, so you've got all the skills there: the reading, writing, speaking, and
yes,
are these people that so how do you find people? Because I think your group is mainly in Lisbon. So how do people find out about your group and how did you find your participants?
Yes, because it's very organic. People just know me and they know my job, my work, and then they talk with someone that is also there working or living at the moment. And then people go to the meeting, they try to a session. And I can also see the level of the knowledge and of the skills that they have for the sessions. And then if it is suitable, if they like it, if they want to join, also they can join. But it's something very organic, something very close, very close. Then, because we create lots of with small groups, also create very solid connections as well, and people feel more comfortable to speak and to talk about several subjects, and also we can also, besides what the subject that we have for the session, sometimes of course we talk about other things.
And do you have different groups, like one for people who are more advanced and one for people who are not? Or do you say you need to be at like a basic level so that you can have conversations and then you can...
No, at the moment we just have one group, and of course it's open to other levels and to other groups online and also person to person.
Okay. And Carla, how is that for you? Do you say that people have to have a certain level of Italian in order to participate, or obviously they need to be able to understand what they're
I would
reading?
say yes, yeah, that's the point. You know, I think I also mentioned this in a couple of my latest posts on LinkedIn. The thing is that with the type of books that we read, you do need to have already quite an advanced level, really,
Yeah,
in Italian. You can't, because we do a lot of, again, reading and discussions around the topics. So you have to already be quite articulate in Italian, and be able to express complex ideas and concepts. And so I would say yes, it's definitely something I try to make clear. I would say anyone that has at least a B could join, if they were brave enough, or if they were not afraid of making mistakes, because that's the point. I I'm always quite conscious about many people being afraid of making mistakes, particularly if they're
absolutely.
not if they're not if they don't have that sort of awareness of the language. And that's why, yeah, I try to make it clear. It's at least you need to be a B. If you're brave enough, you can join as a B, B1, B2. It doesn't really matter. You throw yourself in there, and you try your best, and you learn from others as well, not just from me. But then, if you really want to make the most of it, I would say definitely from a C. So C1, C2. Make sure you're very fluent and you already have some sort of academic sort of level, proficiency, and that would definitely make things a lot smoother, because you would be able to get into the text a lot more deeply,
Okay.
in a more sort of accurate way, and learn a lot more, and take a lot more from the actual group.
Okay, and just staying with you for a second there, how do you decide which text you will use? Is it a group decision? Is it your decision? How do you find good text for the group to study?
Right. I generally look for books that are rich enough to kind of sustain a discussion, but they shouldn't be so dense that they become inaccessible to the others. And I usually the way I like to do it, I usually offer a short list, and the group votes. So they basically decide, the majority goes. And that sense of choice, I find that it really matters, as it helps them to feel committed, a lot more committed from the start, because they had a say in what to choose, what book to go for. And they picked it for for either for the plot or for, I don't know, the cover or the author. So it must mean that they are committed, and that really helps. That really makes a difference. And then it has happened, it's happened that we also picked a book that wasn't quite what we expected it to be. Occasionally. So, and if a book turns out to be, emotionally too heavy, we kind of reassess, because I think the atmosphere of the group is quite important. So I want it to remain stimulating, but at the same time, it has to be a safe place and a respectful place for everyone to feel at ease. And I would never want to put anyone in a position where they don't feel relaxed enough to enjoy it. And that's why I always say, no matter what we pick, if you find, it's too much in any way, you let me know, and we can all talk about it and we can pick another one. And I find that generally people who join my group are quite open to, these sort of, sort of last minute, decisions, if it needs be.
Okay, everyone has to feel comfortable. And I guess it's the important thing is to have that openness to discuss if somebody's finding something difficult, to feel that it's okay to share that, and then you can make a decision as a group and
Yeah,
be
absolutely.
honest
Yeah.
about how you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't learn much, do you, if you feel under pressure and if you feel stressed, and if you find the text particularly frustrating. I find it myself when I read and I don't particularly like the book or the style in which it's written, and I get frustrated. That's when I stop. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a masterpiece or, I just stop because
I'm the
I find it
same.
frustrating. And
Life
if I
is
don't,
too
if
beautiful
I,
to read
yeah.
something you're not enjoying. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you don't enjoy it, just say it, just stop. And, there's plenty of fish in the sea, and we can all find something that we like.
Yeah. And so how about with the Portuguese group then? Is this, Margarida, do you lead it in terms of all the topics? You generate the topics, you think about them, or are some topics things that people want to know about Portugal, the Portuguese culture? How does that work in your group?
In your group, we talk about the subject that you would like to discuss in the following session. Normally I give space so because people can have some special subject to discuss or something or some curiosity that they want to talk about Portuguese culture. So I give lots of space so that people can have this flexibility, and also try to make it like there be some completely different subjects, not this regular subjects or something that people know about it. Just for instance, some places in Lisbon that are more touristic, for example, and so I try to that they can stay out of the Lisbon or the main places, and I can also present some suggestions. And also, of course, they also present or say, I would like to discuss about this subject. And of course, you also, if also the groups agrees, so we are going to talk about that subject in the following session. Yes, but there is not. It's very, very. Variety is also very important. To have to talk about several things, and persons, monuments, history, culture in several ways. So this is also very interesting for them because they always find something very peculiar and about the culture and also about the language, because I also do, of course, I do also make this feedback so that they can also improve. And it's very important that people can feel comfortable, and sometimes we will have when all together, of course, about some word that can have two meanings, and that sometimes we have very funny and comic situations because the words can be very tricky, and that's why we also have a very good environment so that people can grow up and feel comfortable. And like I used to say, we have to learn and to be very comfortable and with joy as well. It's something very relaxed, but also can be very, very rewarding. and important for them as well.
Yeah, it's the openness to
The
discover, to be
open,
curious.
yes, it's like a discovery, and at the same time, I think sometimes we have to feel like we are like children who have to to say things. If it's right or not right, okay, but we have to say them and talk about it, and just in a very informal way, in very comfortable space and environment, of course.
And children often don't have this fear of making mistakes that we can as
Yes,
adults. And that's interesting to learn from
yes,
them.
yeah.
They're a lot more spontaneous than we are, aren't
Yeah.
they? They really don't care as long as you get the message.
Mhm.
They really don't care how you get it as long as you
No,
get it.
no.
So they would just say whatever, whatever they feel it's the right way, of saying it. And yeah, and they will just make themselves understood without worrying too much about, what other people think. But yeah, that's the beauty of being a child.
Yes, and at the same time, like I used to say, we have to have fun with the things we're doing, right? Because if we are relaxed, we learn better, and we have to learn in a very relaxed way, in a very something that has to be has to give you have us pleasure, and feel very comfortable.
Yes. Mhm.
And so for both of you, so your groups, do you meet every month? And how long do you stay together each month? How do you structure your groups?
Is this for me, Kirsty? Sorry. Is it
Yeah,
for
I mean
me?
for both of you, but if you start, then
Oh
we'll
yeah. Okay. Yes, I'll go first. If that's okay with you, Margarida, of course. Right. My group, we meet once a week. And we I've set it up like that because I think it's leaving it too long, it's not beneficial. Again, particularly for those advanced learners who really need to get into the depth of the language, and they need to practice as much as possible. So I would say they feel the need themselves to actually keep in touch with the language a lot more often, so I keep it like that, once a week, and the session lasts for an hour. And again, it's reading the book aloud. We take it in turns, and we stop when it's needed. If we need to discuss any grammar, points, any sort of odd structure that comes up, or anything really that participants might be struggling with. We do stop and talk about that. And yes, so it's quite, again, it's like Margarida said earlier, it's quite an organic way of doing it. You start from the text and then you take it from there, and whatever comes, you then discuss it together as a group. We all, offer our own opinions on things. And based on how much expertise you have in grammar, we can talk a lot more about grammar sometimes and use the terms needed to talk about grammar in detail. It really depends on the weeks and on the paragraph we're reading at the moment, the chapter, the sort of book, the sort of language, whether it's a contemporary piece, whether it's more, an older sort of a register. And that's why it's so fascinating, because it can really change from paragraph to paragraph sometimes. You really don't know what you get, and participants often find themselves, amused by the way a certain author uses the Italian language, ways that you would never encounter, in I don't know, for example, in a video or on YouTube, or in a newspaper. It's a completely different sort of register. So that's quite fascinating.
but it's not one book every week. It's one book until you finish the book, and then you.
It is, yeah, one book until
Oh,
we finish the
okay.
book. So we
Yeah.
yes, we make it about the book, and we finish it. We often talk about the author as well. Sometimes we do it at the beginning. When they pick the book, I send my participants some resources about the author as well, so that they have a knowledge about the author, about the historical background as well, which is always quite defining, I would say. So yes, I make sure that I do that in the first place, and then we tend to, bring up bits about the author's life when we read. Sometimes at the end, when summing up, we do say, I actually found a lot about, his life or her life in the book that we read, and we just share what we think it's, appropriate for the book and the author. So yeah, very, very interesting.
Okay. Yeah, so and I think like if you're doing that every week, you really get to know each other as well. How about you, Margarida? Is it the same every week, every month, every?
Yes. Normally we meet twice a month, or each. Normally it says two sessions a month. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, twice a month, and each meeting lasts about an hour to an hour and a half. And normally I'm not very rigid about the duration of the meetings, because sometimes they have lots of questions, sometimes they have less questions, and I'm not going to interrupt. So it's just like sometimes it's also the days as there are more people or less, not so many people. So we just have these meetings, yes, twice a month, yes, and it's important also they have this time so that they have to fulfill their doubts and the questions that they want, because normally they are very, very curious about Portuguese culture, which I'm very pleased about, and I'm very proud of them, because they have improved a lot, and they still asking things, and they have doubts, and that's very rewarding as well. So it's just like the way I work. It's more. It's as this also this side of the duration of the session.
And do you see this? I'm not talking about individual people, of course, but do you notice the progress that they're making in terms of the language production or the confidence to use the language? Have you seen a change as people keep coming back and participating?
Yes, and like I used to say them, I'm very proud of their improvements, because this is not also not so much about sometimes the culture and the language, but also about the level of confidence. It's very rewarding to see someone that comes to the group and is very shy, sometimes does not want to talk, and they say, I cannot say this word, and you feel that they are not comfortable, and then you have to leave them room so that they can be more comfortable, and then step by step, like I used to say, they are feeling more comfortable, and they also happen something very funny. They can also laugh off their own mistakes, and that's great, because you will, of course, you laugh in a very constructive way, of course, and learning with each other, because I also learn a lot with them, of course.
Mm. And you can only really laugh at your mistakes if you're feeling comfortable, if you're
Yes, and
so
yes,
that's a good sign.
yes, if we don't talk and if we don't try, how do we say if it's right or not right? Okay, so we have to talk. That's very important. Yes.
Yeah, and I think for the groups, for both groups, obviously it's clear the advantages of working with both of you, because you can give explanations, you can help them to improve, you can explain more about your cultures and your language. But what do you think are the benefits of working with others in a group? So, having this group set up where learners are with other learners as well. What do you think this brings to the experience for them? Either of you.
Right, that's an interesting question. Do you want to go first, Margarida? Sorry.
No problem. If you want to go first. Carla?
Right, yeah, I was just thinking of what I would say. I mean, most of my participants are other learners, so often they retirees who are already fluent. Sometimes, even language professionals. So as I said earlier, we're not working at beginner level, so they don't come to learn basic vocabulary. They come to kind of refine their language. So the vocabulary growth happens organically through literary context. And the discussion, as you said, is done in Italian. So discussing literature forces you to use complex structures, to interpret, to nuance, to disagree, politely, justify your opinion. So it's active and it's high level language use. And for many of them, it's the difference between, being fluent and being truly articulate. And being able to express those, complex concepts. And for fluent speakers, that's often the missing piece. So they can speak, but this setting pushes them to speak with more subtlety. So it becomes, less about learning Italian, more about refining it. Yeah.
And it's a commitment too, isn't it? If you're committing, I'm going to come to this meeting every week, and it's like setting aside, giving yourself time to focus on your Italian in this case, because once it's in the diary, it's like a thing that you do. And I guess when
Yes.
you're learning alone, I'll read that book later next week, next month. But if
Yeah.
if it's
It's
for
the
the course,
accountability, isn't it? It's the
yeah.
accountability that's there. Yeah, I think that's what makes a conversation or a book club so important, because you kind of feel accountable for the group. If you're not there, then some people might not be able to. I don't know. I just make an example here, like reading in pairs, or just
Yeah.
do activities because you're not there. You're not part of this group. And I don't know about your group, Margarida, but my group is always very small. I don't tend to go over the 5 people in a group, because I really like to keep it warm, welcoming,
Yes.
supportive. I like to keep it very human. I like to spend the extra time asking them how they are, how the week has been, and getting to practice that conversational Italian as well. So the spontaneous bit of the language is there too. And that's why I would never like to have a bigger group than that, because I would feel it would be, um, just less of a kind of personalized experience, really. And I
I agree.
feel,
Mhm.
yeah, and I feel they do benefit from it as well, and they really appreciate it, because alongside the book club, then I also have the WhatsApp group with them, where we share, whatever we
Yeah,
find out.
yes,
We find out things about the book. We
yeah,
sometimes find out about the etymology of a word. We find out that, the Polish word, it's similar to an Italian word that's not in use anymore, stuff like that comes up
yes, yeah.
in a very, very spontaneous way. And that's why I like to keep it the way it is. I would never want to go, higher than 5, really. And I find, again, the participants really, really appreciate that. And again, you can see the improvement a lot more easily, because the group is smaller, and you can tell instantly when things are going well for them, when this is helping them, and in the way they interact with you, in the way you give them time to speak, you give them time to talk about what they find difficult, what they find frustrating, and how you could make it better for them. So it's yeah, I think it's all about keeping it simple and keeping it very human. It's definitely the main thing for me.
Perfect. I agree with you, Carla, and I also see this in this group. Normally we are about maybe eight people about it, more or less. But the important thing is, even when we start the meetings, there's always a very close connection with them. So we start to say how are they, how things are going, and we are very bounded with each other. And now, and I, with the time, I just see them that they also go out. They have their plans, and it's very interesting to see how this has a huge impact, learning the language. And it's also very important, how you said, Carla, this to keep these bounds people closer, because there are not many people that are in the group. So this is very important. And also have the group, the WhatsApp group. And sometimes they want to see something in Lisbon, an event or something. They also go out with each other, and it's
Oh, that's
very,
nice.
it's
Oh,
lovely to
that's
see them.
lovely. That is lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy with for them, because they really get along together, and they say have any doubt, they say, "Ah, I want to see this," and they also have this dynamic in the group. This is very, very important also for them, like because it's emotions. We are all as people, and in the first place, and because the impact that they have learning in learning the language, and it's it's faster and more warming at the same time.
Yeah, that's lovely that there's also like relationships, people that maybe wouldn't have even come across each other before, but have met in your group and are now planning to do activities together.
Yes, it's warmth. It's very warm to have this. Yes, I agree.
And just a question now, because I think when I think about my groups, I've occasionally worked with people who think they're a lot better than they are, but most of the time it's the other way around, that people hesitate to join groups because they think, oh, maybe, I mean, obviously, if the level isn't good enough, like with Carla's, then it doesn't make sense to join until the level is good enough. But in terms of confidence, what advice would you both give to people who are not sure, who are hesitant, who are thinking, I would really like to see about joining one of these groups, but I don't know, maybe my skills aren't good enough. I'm not talking about myself here at all. No, I am, because I sometimes have those
We've all
thoughts.
been there. We've all been there.
Yes, yes.
It's
So
it's
It's a
I,
that's
common
that's the first
experience.
that's
Yes.
definitely the first thing I say. I always say, I have been there. I have been there several times. I am still there. I am still learning lots of languages. I'm relearning languages that I used to speak, quite fluently, but now I have to relearn because I haven't used them in a long time. And as you know, if you don't lose it, you lose it.
yeah.
That's what happens with languages in particular. So I always put it on sort of an empathy kind of level, right? And I
Yeah.
am not a native speaker of English, right? I learned English, as a second language. I'm still learning it. I never stop learning a language. I never stop learning my own language, my native language. So I always make it about, it's all about the passion you have. Do you have a passion for the language? Do you have a passion for the people, the culture, or do you have a passion for, whatever? That if you're here, that means that something has led you here for a reason. Maybe it's a deeper reason that I know, but all I can say is, just give it a try. Give it a try, see how it feels. If it doesn't feel good, then you can always, leave. You won't be called a quitter just because you tried
Yeah.
and you quit. And I feel, this usually puts them, at ease immediately, particularly when they know, where, the place I come from in terms of, language learning. So I think it is mainly, again, about making it human, Um, we're not machines. You don't just input terminology in our brains and expect us to put it all together and it all making sense in 5 minutes. We're not like that. And luckily, I would say, we're not machines. So it takes
Yeah.
the time it takes. We all have different, again, at the different pace. We all have a different pace. We all learn differently. Some of us are more visual learners. Some of us like to just translate. I have a lot of, because I do the private tuition as well, and many of my students love translation, which of course I love too, and it's one of the things I do. But they pick a book and they go, I really want to translate this book. So we spend a year on a book just translating it because they love reading and translating, and they love talking about the structure and the grammar, and asking me questions about, why is this subjunctive there? Why is this a future? Why is it not like this and like that? And that's how they approach it. And that's what I like to remind people. We approach languages in many different ways, and it's all okay as long as you're ready to embrace the mistakes. Just embrace whatever comes. We're not perfect. We will never be. And I feel my English is not perfect. My Italian is not perfect. Far from perfect. But I'm still here. I'm speaking. I'm communicating, making myself understood, and that's the main thing. So if that's the aim, if you want to make yourself understood in Italian for your own reasons, then you're in the right place. So just even thinking about it and starting, it's a good place to be, I feel. And then usually once the first session it's done, then they feel there's sort of connection. That connection, they feel that you come from the same sort of place of unease, because that's how you feel.
Yeah.
It's always that weird feeling of, oh,
Anything new is
am I,
like
am I
that.
am I actually using the right verb here? Am I using the right future tense? It's just what it is for all of us. Yeah.
And any closing words of advice from you, Margarida, about this, like daring to sign up kind of thing, like people who are thinking about it and not sure?
Oh, I think the most important thing is to try, to give it a try, and to give an opportunity for ourselves, because, like Carla said, we're not English, for instance, is not our first language, and sometimes I also laugh a lot with them. Because I also say some words in English that are not correct, and I try to also to learn from them, and it's funny because I say, just look at me, I cannot say this also in English. It's the same thing for you in Portuguese, so we are at the same level. So what's the problem? We have to try. We have to pick. We have to try and to have fun with that. I think sometimes we take life too seriously, and we don't have fun, because if we try to have fun, to say, okay, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to try, and I'll be better, because if I don't train, if I don't try, I cannot be better. So I have to keep trying to do these things, and I think that's the most important thing, is because we deserve an opportunity to improve. So why not to go there? Why not to try?
Yeah, and I think that's true, like what you said about having fun.
Yeah.
Learning should be fun.
That's also, I will say that in my meetings, have fun. If you're not having fun, you're not learning. It's the opposite. You have to have fun to learn. So of course it can be made in it's very serious commitment that I have, but you don't have to be very serious, not to be very rigid. We have to be comfortable, and it's like a meeting with friends, but with a specific goal. And that goal is very, very clear for them and for me. But we have to be there in a perspective that we are going to learn, and we are going to have fun by learning.
Yeah. And as well, I think of all of us, we each have groups for Portuguese, for Italian, for English, but all of us are also learners as well as teachers, and
Yes,
we know how
of
it
course.
feels.
Yes, we know how we feel, of course. The other day I
Yeah,
was trying
absolutely.
to say one word that was, I'm not remember which, I cannot say it the right way. And then I was laughing of myself, because it's funny. I'm at the same level, but not in Portuguese, but in English. It's the same. It's the same.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the world too. I mean, I
No,
should
of
listen to
course.
myself as well when I say this, because I give good
Yes.
advice and then I don't take it. But most of the time, it's
Yes.
what's important is that we learn,
Yes.
and not that we keep
Yes, of
remembering the
course.
thing we said 3 days ago that everyone else has forgotten, that nobody cares about apart from us.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah, never do that.
I'm sure I've been thinking about a lot of things that I could have pronounced better. I could have said
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
after
But
this podcast. But yeah,
but
that's what it is. It's about learning, and I think the awareness that we have as language learners, it's really beneficial to our students as well, because we don't just teach it, we're learning different languages as well ourselves, and that puts us in a better position to actually empathize with them, And again, they can feel it. Again, people can feel it. People can feel it when you're, genuine in that sense. And again, if you make it fun, you make it, a light-hearted kind of session. If it's a reading group or a conversation group, or if it's even a private one-on-one language session, I would say if you just make it light-hearted from the start, then people feel at ease, and they feel that they also feel in a good place to allow themselves to make mistakes. That's the problem. I think sometimes it's they sort of some people, not everyone, some people come with a barrier of perfectionism, right? And they come with the expression that the expectation that I've read this in a grammar book and I should say it this way, and this is how you pronounce it, and there's no other way of doing it, so I must do it that way myself. And if they don't if they don't remember that particular structure, that particular sentence that they've learned, then they get stuck. And I think if you make sure that they feel at ease from the beginning, making it lighthearted and playful, then they also sort of forget about the rigidity and let go and allow themselves to actually be human and make mistakes, just like you would do in any other field. It's not just languages, it's just life, isn't it? If you're learning something, again, as a child, you're learning to walk, right? You start, step by step, and you fall, and then you make another step, and then you fall again. And again, that's how you learn a language. That's how you learn most things in life, just by making
That's
mistakes.
life. That's life happening. Yes, that's life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you both of you for coming on the podcast and for sharing your experiences. Two very different groups, both with the same purpose of helping people to develop their skills and to learn more about language and culture, and to do it in a way that is not on their own, to be with others, with the support of others, and with your support as well. So for anyone who's listening, think about this. Is there any kind of group that you could join, whatever your language pairs or additional languages are? Would you benefit in some way from having this group contact with others? And think about, you've heard some of the benefits here, and maybe this is something for you as well. But whatever you do, keep learning and keep having fun with learning, because otherwise it's not as enjoyable and you probably won't learn as much. So find a way to make learning fun, and keep enjoying your languages. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the English with Kirsty podcast. If you have any questions or comments, my email address is kirsty@englishwithkirsty.com, or you can go to www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast, where you'll find information about the individual episodes.